For better or for worse, the Witcher series is making some serious developments both in the major series and in the spin-off, The Witcher: Blood Origins. Henry Cavill is being replaced in the main series for the next season. Laurence O'Fuarain will embody one of Geralt's ancestors, perhaps the first Witcher ever, in the 4-episode prequel. Let's talk about these changes within the franchise and discuss how good of a Witcher Laurence could make. Firstly, Henry Cavill's physique belongs in fiction. The first time we saw Cavill's biceps enshrined in red and blue spandex, we realized just how much the Supermans of the past were slacking off. Seriously, the man looked like he was being photoshopped after being drawn by a comic book artist. And when we saw Geralt swinging his sword through a man, it was clear that Clark Kent wasn't even Henry's most jacked character. The actor dedicated his entire life to sculpting his body into a vessel worthy of bringing some of fiction's most masculine men to life. It takes more than just a gym and clean eating to become the Witcher, though. Believe it or not, the most important point during casting negotiations for Superman and The Witcher was Henry getting 8 to 9 hours of sleep every night. Asking a Hollywood actor to cut down on his champagne and booze has more calories than you might think, and quitting his nightlife really takes Kryptonian dedication. The results? Worth it. Cavill made a Geralt that was frightening to behold. Much larger than the lean Man of Steel, but still shaped like a rugged Greek god. Even as Superman, the fear Cavill's sheer presence inspired was what was missing in the past Superman depictions. This is what a monster-hunting mercenary looks like. Additionally, the pressure this puts on Laurence O'Fuarain. Imagine being forced to follow after half a decade of the world gushing over your shirtless predecessor. Laurence doesn't play Geralt himself, but rather an ancestor of The Witcher that lived 1,200 years before the Netflix adaptation's events. Even for a 4-episode spin-off, playing a different character altogether, Laurence is still going to be a Witcher, and we have expectations. If we're going to have the very first prototype Witcher, Fjall, and if he's going to be from a clan of warriors specifically designed to protect the king, then he's gonna have to cut out the late-night ice cream and replace breakfast with broccoli. The current circumstances of Cavill's return as Superman and his removal from the Witcher project for the next season have the fans on edge already. If Laurence doesn't fulfill the standards Henry has set, he'll have a much harder time than Liam Hemsworth, our Geralt for the next season, because Hemsworth brings a certain star power to the role that makes him easier to digest for the fans. But if Hemsworth is just okay, and Laurence doesn't knock it out of the park, then it could be disastrous for the franchise, and no one wants to be the guy who killed the Witcher series. Let's talk about The Witcher: Blood Origins. With the amount of success the Netflix adaptation of the Witcher games has gotten, it's no surprise that the streaming site has decided to fund the production of Blood Origins. The 4-episode series is set over a millennium before Geralt, at a time when the worlds of man, elves, and monsters clashed together and the first Witcher came into being. Well, not exactly. The lore from the source novels tells us that mages created Witchers almost 967 years after the conjecture of the spheres, the merging of the worlds we mentioned before. This opens several possibilities for the writers. They could open with the first episode telling the story of the conjecture, with the last episode showing us the creation of the first Witcher. Andrei Sapkowski's world didn't even have humans in the start, and was populated by gnomes, dwarves, and elves in that order before the conjecture. The chaotic event ripped apart the very fabric of the continent, trapping monsters from all dimensions in their world, including humans. Laurence, we feel, may be the first proto-Witcher ever created to bring balance to the world, so there's as much pressure on the character as there is on the actor. Moving on, does O'Fuarain have what it takes to succeed Superman? If we're going to consider a new Witcher for the role, we're going to have to check out their pedigree a little. We were somewhat confronted by the idea of Cavill taking up the mantle, because he's Superman. But what about O'Fuarain? He was in Game of Thrones, but only as a common foot soldier slain by Stannis Baratheon in his last moments. He made another appearance on the hit historical drama Vikings, but once more as a fisherman in the 5th episode. Do you see the trend? Laurence has appeared on most major fictional drama shows, but this is going to be his first headlining role. He's been good in movies like Viking Destiny and Who We Love, but dealing with returning shows of this magnitude is a whole different beast. Netflix is the biggest online streaming platform in the world, away from the traditional cinema experience, and fantasy novel fandoms are an unforgiving audience. This may be why O'Fuarain seemed humbled by the honor when he spoke to Entertainment Weekly. Not only was he awestruck about taking over from Superman, but he was also surprised with the amount of work the entire ordeal took. even pre-production. The future Monster Hunter said at times he wouldn't have to go to the gym after shooting/costume design because of how heavy the axe his character will wield is. Finally, How do these stars get so ripped? We know we've talked about how intense the diet and training regimens can be for roles like The Witcher and the Man of Steel, but it's important to dissect the impossibility of actually looking like that. After the first season of The Witcher, Cavill was open about the sheer terror accompanying every shirtless scene on the show. The actor would have to dehydrate himself and go into extreme diets for days before shooting in order to stretch his skin over his muscles. If the shoot was on Friday, the actor would begin the process on Tuesday and intensify his fasting till the last day, where he got no water until after the scene was shot in the evening. And this is all after an entire team of nutritionists, trainers, and costume designers worked on Henry for months. We're not trying to take away from the monumental tasks of getting into shape for characters like Thor or Black Adam, but just trying to highlight all the work that goes into the final product. Let's take a look at some of the projects demanding the attention of the Witcher team and why the franchise made the decisions inspiring this discussion. In other news, first off, Cavill returns as Superman. We haven't seen the British actor don the red cape since the lukewarm Whedon cut of the Justice League, released in 2017, with the actual Man of Steel movie coming 4 years prior. It's been a decade since what many call the best standalone super movie of all time, and Cavill just confirmed he's going to return after we saw him appear in the recent Black Adam movie. The announcement was received with grateful surprise because we were all expecting the next Superman movie to feature a black actor, something Warner Brothers has been saying for a while now. Cavill confirmed that he'll be back in 2022, thanked the fans for all their patience over the past decade, and promised to reward their loyalty and faith. He even sounds like Superman in the interviews. Additionally, why would Cavill stop playing The Witcher? It's rare to have an actor play the lead character from a series they grew up reading and playing, and Cavill was a Witcher fanatic. So why leave? Some say he was given a temporary leave of absence for his Black Adam cameo, while others speculate about the difficulty of managing two roles as demanding as Superman and Geralt side by side. When you compare the fan bases and the paycheck Cavill gets from each project, we're not surprised he took the Kryptonian route. However, there might be some drama behind all of this after. Cavill has been a pretty vocal opponent of the writer's decision to be pretty liberal with their adherence to the source material, especially regarding Geralt's character. If Henry didn't care about the books or the game, it wouldn't be a problem. But if you're as big of a nerd for the franchise as Henry Cavill, we can see it becoming a problem. Finally, is Hemsworth cut from Witcher cloth? As iconic as Cavill was, we think Hemsworth is going to be pretty good. Once we get over the initial shock of it, we think it'll have the same effect on fans as recasting Rhodey in Iron Man 2 did. It's still some ways away, with Season 4 set to come out in 2024, so we hope the fanbase has some idea to get used to the change. Hemsworth has more than proved himself in high-budget, physically demanding mega productions like The Expendables 2 and Independence Day: Resurgence, and he has the Hemsworth superhero look that landed his brother the iconic role of Thor. That's a wrap for this video. Do you think that Liam Hemsworth and Laurence O'Fuarain are going to do as good of a job as Cavill did in The Witcher? Or has Netflix made a huge mistake with the recast? Let us know in the comments below. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to subscribe for more quality content.